Okay, so it is 6:35, so we'll begin this meeting. So before I do, I would like to highlight that this meeting is being recorded for the purposes of documenting a meeting summary that will be shared with all meeting participants through the public engagement website. So thank you everyone for joining us today for the virtual Public Information Center number 2. The purpose of this meeting is to present the Public Information Center number 2 materials and obtain your feedback and consideration on how we arrived at our preferred design for this project. We have a land acknowledgement that the City of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon, One Pump Belt Covenant, which is an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabeg to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We further acknowledge that this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase 1792 between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Today, the City of Hamilton is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, North America, and we recognize that we must do more to learn about the rich history of this land so that we can better understand our role as residents, neighbors, partners, and caregivers or caretakers. A little bit of a technical housekeeping. Since this is a virtual open house, so number one is please keep your microphones muted if you're not speaking. You could find that on the mic button up top on your Microsoft Teams toolbar. Using your camera is optional and it's preferred to keep them off until perhaps maybe we call upon you when you have any questions or comments at the end of the meeting. If you have any technical issues or settings that you need to tweak, you can click on the 3-dot button on your toolbar. It's labeled More. And if you have any questions, you can either raise your hand with the raise your hand function on the toolbar, or you can also submit a question through the chat button on the toolbar as well. So I'd like to introduce the project team. My name is Patrick Yip. I'm the project manager from the City of Hamilton's Planning and Economic Development Department under the Growth Management Division. And within that, the Infrastructure Planning section. And with me, I have our consultant who was hired by the city to conduct the study. And I will pass it to Andrew Barr, our project manager from AECOM, to introduce himself.
Hello all, my name is Andrew Barr. I'm the civil manager within the Mississauga office of AECOM, and I'm the project manager for this study. Over to you, Paul.
All right, thanks a lot, Andrew. So good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Check. I'm an environmental planner here at AECOM, working on this project.
Thank you. And we also have a couple of City of Hamilton team members with us in this meeting as well. I'd like to call Margaret to introduce herself.
Hi everyone. It's Margaret Fazio. I'm the Senior Project Manager of Infrastructure Planning in the same section that Patrick works. So I'm here to support him in this project. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have Darlene Cole from Real Estate Department as well, if she could introduce herself. Oh, she might not be there yet, but we'll talk to her soon. And we also have Spriha from Darlene, you unmuted yourself.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. I'm Darlene Cole, and I'm a senior real estate consultant with the City of Hamilton.
Thank you, Darlene. We also have Spriha Thuma from our group as well. Spriha, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Spriha. I'm an infrastructure planning student here on my co-op, and I'm working with Patrick and Margaret and the infrastructure planning team here in the City of Hamilton.
Thank you. All right, so like I mentioned in the beginning, the purpose of this PIC is to summarize what was talked about during PIC number 1 or Public Information Center number 1, present the design alternatives that were considered and evaluated, present the identified preferred design, and also continuing this public engagement process for the study. So we as a city are conducting a municipal class environmental assessment, or MCEA Schedule C study for the 20 Road East and Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway extension. As you can see in the red, this is the study area. The orange line is the alignment of the road that was previously approved from the Trinity Church Road environmental assessment project that was completed in 2007, and also the Red Hill Business Park South Transportation Master Plan that was completed in 2013. So the blue line is what this current study is trying to determine. The green dash line is a future study that is also conducted by the city, led by Transportation Planning Division, called the Airport Conceptual Link. And the location and need for this specific link will need to be confirmed during that particular study. And this entire corridor from the north to the south will be designated as a future truck route. As highlighted, the city is conducting the study as a Schedule C MCEA process, which contains what we call phases of the study. So phases 1 and 2 of the MCEA process were completed and confirmed through the previous studies mentioned, and reconfirmed during Public Information Center number 1 of this study. We are currently in phase 3 of the MCEA process, where we develop design alternatives and identify the preferred design alternative to be recommended. After which we will draft and finalize the environmental study report, or the ESR, in phase 4, and this is where the study will be completed. On this slide shows the technical studies completed to date as part of this study. And in the next couple of slides, I'll talk about or summarize what was presented during the Public Information Center number 1. So as you all may be aware, there are currently no roads that exist within the study area for this area. And the recommendation from the previous study is to provide a connection from the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway and Rymel Road intersection to down all the way to the 20 Road East and Glover Road intersection. And this slide shows a map of both existing and future planned cycling and walking network. As you can see, there are a few missing links in this area. And as part of the city's Complete Streets guideline, we are aiming to provide walking and cycling infrastructure as part of this study. And I'd like to just mention that these slides are available on our Engage Hamilton website. So if you do have any questions later on and want to refer back to this, they're all available online for you to download and review. Based on the natural heritage assessment, there are a few areas that may have species at risk. There are also watercourses or streams within the study area that do not provide direct fish habitat, but contribute to the downstream habitat. And again, the natural heritage and the headwater assessments will be updated and reconfirmed during the detailed design stage after the study's completion. For the cultural heritage assessment, there are some properties with confirmed or potential features of built heritage value shown in the yellow of this map. There will be some minor impacts that will require mitigation, but there are no direct impacts anticipated to these features. So as you can see, when we labeled CHR1, which is Cultural Heritage Resource number 1, that is the church that's out there today. CHR2 and CHR3 are also within the business park. And I'd like to note that CHR3, down at the bottom right corner, that is owned by the city. We also conducted what we called a stage 1 archaeological assessment, and that is where there are areas of potential archaeological findings that may require further archaeological assessments during detailed design. So that's something called a stage 2 and a stage 3 archaeological assessment. So based on all the previous findings, the problem and opportunity statement is as follows. Problem identified are, number one, there will be capacity issues from the anticipated growth in this area if we were to maintain the existing road network as is. And number two, the extension of 20 Road and the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway is needed to service the planned growth areas and developments within the Red Hill Business Park. And the opportunities are that, one, we shall follow the city's council direction to grow the industrial parks and employment areas. Number two, develop the business park within a new connection, sorry. And number three, provide a road network that is flexible to existing and future growth trends and also provide active transportation infrastructure. The following were some concerns that were brought forward from by the public during PIC number one. Number one is that the public was a little bit concerned about the potential natural environment impacts caused by the road construction. Number two is the public wanted both cycling and walking infrastructure for the future road extensions. And number three, the public is concerned with the traffic impacts during construction. Now we will go into the design alternatives that were considered. But before that, this is the evaluation criteria for the design alternatives. This criteria will help us identify and evaluate what is the preferred alternative to move forward with. And within this evaluation criteria, these are some of the criteria we look at. The first one is transportation. Second is socioeconomic. Then we have cultural environment, then natural heritage, engineering, and cost. Since we have a pretty long list of design alternatives to go through for this study, we will break it down into these alternatives down. So the first alternative we'll look at is something called road alignments. And then the second alternative is the road cross-section alternatives. So starting with the road alignment, we considered two alternatives. Number one, the first alternative is from the previously approved study. So it's a straight down 90-degree perpendicular from the future Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway over to the future 20 Road extension with a proposed roundabout. And then number two is the optimized land use alignment, where from the approved alignment, from the previously approved study, we will introduce curves in the alignment to place the road and the roundabout equidistant between Glover Road and 20 Road. And I would like to note that this curvature from the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway and Rimo Road connection is the same down all the way to the existing hydro corridors is the same between alternative 1 and alternative 2. The only difference is the curvature introduction here. So based on the evaluation framework, it was determined that there was only one criteria that made a difference between the two alternatives. Criteria like transportation, cultural heritage, natural heritage, engineering costs do not have significant differences, whereas socioeconomics does. Alternative number two optimizes for potential land development south of the hydro corridor. And so based on this, we've identified alternative number two as the preferred alternative for road alignments. And this is just a detailed explanation of what those criteria look like. And additionally, the preferred alignment will have a multi-use path connection, as you could see in the green down here, all the way to Trinity Church. And this multi-use path connection from the roundabout over to Trinity Church Road, this multi-use path is above the existing city easement. So not any additional property impacts anywhere else. It's just on top of the city's owned easement. Now, on to 20 Road East cross-section alternatives. And it's all based on the preferred alignment alternative that we just mentioned. We came up with 3 cross-section alternatives for the 20 Road East extension. But before I want to get into that, I need to explain to you what this number means up here, 27.48. So the right-of-way was identified as a future collector as per the Urban Hamilton official plan, with a future right-of-way of 30.48 meters. And this weird decimal number is actually a metric conversion from the 100 feet. And so since there were already active developments adjacent to where we were going to put this 20 Road East extension, the road, we had to reduce the future right-of-way down from 30.48 to 27.48. So that is why this number is shown here. Okay. The first alternative shown on this slide is an urban 2-lane road with sidewalk on both sides of the road and on-road bike lanes with buffers. You can see the sidewalks and then the bike lanes on the road. The second alternative is an urban 2-lane road with a sidewalk on one side and a multi-use path on the other side. And in this cross-section, it's on the north side where the multi-use path is. And the third alternative is an urban 2-lane road with separated bike lanes and sidewalks that are within the boulevard and away from the road. As you can see, separated. So based on the evaluation of these 3 alternatives, there were 3 criteria that made a difference: transportation, socioeconomic, and cost. So the placement of the multi-use path and sidewalk away from the road is much more preferred compared to alternative 2 and 3. Sorry, the placement of multi-use path and sidewalk away from the road is much more preferred. Alternatives 2 and alternative 3 represents better safety for pedestrians and cyclists. The on-road bike lane would take up the space for a potential left turn lane, restricting traffic flow for future left turning vehicles. The capital cost for alternative 2 is about $5 million, which is between alternatives 1 and alternatives 3 capital cost. However, alternative number 2's maintenance cost is comparatively lower by having only 1 sidewalk and 1 multi-use path to maintain. And that is why we've selected alternative number 2 as the preferred alternative for 20 Road East extension. And here are some of the details of the rationale as well. Moving on to the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway cross-section alternatives now. But before I want to get into that, I'd like to preface this by, before going to the cross-sections, all the alternatives that you're about to see are built for 2 lanes, but are actually protected for a 4-lane cross-section. Because the city, we're not sure how fast development will come into this study area. We will start off with just 2 lanes of traffic, and we will protect for 4 lanes in the future. The city expects the proposed 2 lanes of traffic to be built and in place for approximately the next 20 years. And so for the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway cross-section, we have 4 alternatives. Again, I will mention that the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway extension was identified as a future arterial roadway as per the Urban Hamilton official plan, with a future right-of-way of 45 meters, which is comparatively wider than what was identified for 20 Road. So for the first alternative, this is a rural 2-lane road with a multi-use path on one side. And this alternative is consistent with what the previous study's recommendations were, and that is why we're moving this as a consideration. We're bringing this up as a consideration. The second alternative is a semi-urban 2-lane road with a sidewalk on one side and a multi-use path on the other side. There are ditches with green infrastructure considerations on both sides of the road. And there's also a center turn lane, or we also can have medians depending on the location and the future development parcels that may come in. And for the third alternative, this is very similar to what was shown in the previous slide, but the only difference is that the sidewalk is now further away from the road and closer to the future property line. Everything else is the same. And for alternative number 4 is a we have a semi-urban 2-lane road with a median ditch in the middle. And this alternative pretty much builds out the full 4 lanes in advance, but we will hatch 1 lane in each direction until development and the anticipated growth comes into the area. The median ditch is an extra consideration for drainage purposes. And based on the evaluation, the differences are in the transportation, socioeconomics, and cost criteria. So for the transportation criteria, alternatives 2, 3, and 4 have additional sidewalks for continuation of pedestrian network, whereas number 1 only has a multi-use path, which is limiting. For the socioeconomics for the socioeconomics criteria, alternative number 2 and 3 have immediate access to development lands because it has a center turning lane, whereas alternatives 1 would require some reconstruction because it has a median ditch, and alternative number 1 does not have immediate access, but it can provide a center turn lane through a little bit of reconstruction. And for cost, alternative number 2 is the lowest capital cost at 16.5 million compared to the other alternatives. Again, similar sort of rationale details here. And so these are the preferred cross sections for both the 20 Road East extension and the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway extension, as a summary slide showing the cross sections. Now, we did consider intersection alternatives for the connection at the future 20 Road East and the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway intersection. And based on a couple of things, actually, based on the future implementation phasing, the future connection to the Airport Employment Growth District, the future traffic flow, pedestrians, cycling, and vehicular safety, and the available lands that we have, a roundabout is the pre-screened preferred alternative for this location when compared to a typical signalized intersection. So a roundabout will be right at this intersection. The other intersection at Glover Road and 20 Road East intersection was also looked at. And this is a unsignalized intersection with stop control along Glover Road. So there are stop signs on Glover Road. And this is just showing the pedestrian and cycling connection for this intersection. As you can see that the multi-use path of the preferred 20 Road East, the preferred cross section for 20 Road East reflects a multi-use path on the north side. And so that will continue towards the west side of Glover Road along 20 Road East and a sidewalk on the south side. This is a roll plan showing the overall recommended design as we talked about. And we have these roll plans available on our Engage Hamilton website for this project for you to download and review. In the beginning of this entire, I'd say, construction, we will implement this project in a phased approach. We will build out a temporary or interim 20 Road East extension with a cul-de-sac shown here. And that will provide access to the 420 Trinity Church land parcel shown here. And at full build out, we will transform this cul-de-sac to a full roundabout as mentioned in the previous slide. But this will be our first step. And this slide talks about the property acquisition and how the city will approach acquiring properties within the study area when needed. And so it really depends on the type of ownership. If, let's just say that you are a resident of this study area and your property is impacted, there are two ways to go about this. First, the city would like to go through what we call a willing buyer, willing seller kind of methodology, where if you're willing to sell, the city's willing to buy and we can negotiate. Or number two, we could go through expropriation, which is a process where the city will purchase the property at fair market value, which is determined through property valuation at the time when the property is needed for public use. And if you're not a residential owner, then and you're a development owned property, then land will be acquired through development. So what's going to happen next? We will consider all the comments from this PIC, and there will be a questionnaire on our project website where we ask a couple of questions and you have the option to type in questions as well, type in your answers, some of your comments. We also have an email for any of your comments. After this, of course, after you digest all this information, after you review all the materials more in depth, we have a commenting window that's open. So we will consider all of these comments from this PIC and confirm our recommendations. And if needed, we will fine tune our design during the approaching summer of 2025. We will also get started on the environmental study report. So hopefully we will wrap that up by fall of 2025. And in winter of 2026, we will present the ESR findings to the Planning Committee of Council, and then we'll have a minimum 30-day public and agency review period open. And that is when we'll most likely wrap up this project. And then, and as I mentioned, the next step of this study, once it's completed, will be, and if there are no appeals, then it will be moved to detailed design and then construction. So thank you for participating in this event. We appreciate the time that you've taken to join us virtually for this project. And these are just the project website links that you can visit for all the information. Again, what you see here today, all the materials will be is already posted actually on our Engage Hamilton website. This video recording will also be posted on our website after this meeting. And if you have any questions or if you have any comments, please reach out to us, to either myself or Andrew. Those are our emails. You can also give us a call. You can also type up the comment section of the public engagement website that you'll find online as well. So I will now open the floor up for any questions. You can either raise your hand first and we'll go by sequential order, or if there are any comments, you can also type it in the chat box as well. I think.
All right, Patrick.
Yeah. Yes, Paul.
All right, go ahead. So I see Sam has a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Sam. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, I've just unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, hi, my name's Sam Marenka. I'm a citizen in Summit Park, bordering on Trinity Church Road. So my only concern is that I don't know why 20 Road cannot be extended, that other half mile, to Trinity Church Road. And the reason I say this is because there's a bottleneck, a huge bottleneck at Rymel and the upper Red Hill extension. And if you open it up, you'll disperse a lot of the traffic and it won't be a bottleneck down at the bottom end there. My second reason is that I know in future development, of course, they want to build Elfrida in behind the power lines, right behind our subdivision. There are no plans for any expressways at all in there, which makes traffic even worse. And if you open up that 20 Road, you can continue that 20 Road through the back end of that Elfrida stretch there. So those are two main reasons that I even came to join this tonight. I think it's imperative that 20 Road is not stopped with a little roundabout. It needs to continue to Trinity Church.
So thank you, Sam, for that. I'm just gonna unmute you so I don't have an echo. Oh, thank you, Sam.
Okay.
So in our transportation report, it showed that the traffic is not. Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but the traffic report seems to show that there isn't much of a traffic congestion if we introduce this sort of connection down from Upper Red Hill Valley down to 20 Road. I hear you about the Alfreda connection, the Alfreda development on the east side of Trinity Church. Right now, I think council right now is saying that we haven't decided if that is approved or not. So we did not, on the basis of that approval, we did not continue the connection from the proposed roundabout over to the Trinity Church Road. So in order for us to progress with this project, we assumed that the Alfreda development isn't going on yet because of the decisions made by council.
Okay. I get that part. Part two, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Part one, though, it really, if people are coming up, heading southbound through Rymo Road on the Upper Red Hill extension, their only route they can travel is to the business park. That's the only way they can go. Whereas if you opened up that little, I don't even know, half a mile, I went and looked at it the other day. It's wide open field and the city does own it. And I don't see any reason they can't continue it to Trinity Church. It disperses traffic. I don't know if you guys have done a traffic study at Rymo Road and Upper Centennial and Trinity. It is absolutely horrendous, especially in the mornings and at 4 or 5 o'clock. It really bottlenecks badly. So I think you're cutting off traffic by not opening that up in that portion. And I looked, there's not very many houses on Trinity Church from that extension from 20 Road to Rymo. There's maybe, I don't know, 10 or 12 houses. I don't see any reason it shouldn't go through. You're going to get too much traffic bottleneck. A traffic study would show that if somebody went there tomorrow and did a traffic study, you'd see how bad it is at Rymo and Upper Red Hill at Trinity.
I think, Andrew, for the traffic report, I think the introduction of this connection actually would alleviate some of the traffic that's experienced.
That's right. Yeah, we're expecting that the extension of Upper Red Hill and the connection to 20 will, alleviate to some extent, some of that congestion. The other thing is that I wouldn't say that a connection to Trinity Church Road is off the table in the future. It just has been decided that's not part of this study.
Right. Okay. So I'll just reiterate that the traffic congestion at Rymo and Upper Red Hill is very, very bad in Trinity, and that's the reason I say. So that's it. I'll get off now and I'll mute myself.
No, appreciate your comments, Sam. We'll definitely document your comment and concerns for this report.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I see that Gavin's got his hand up. Gavin, did you want to speak to this topic?
Yeah, and introduce yourself, Gavin.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew and Patrick. Hi, everybody. My name's Gavin Norman. I'm manager of infrastructure planning and growth management. So I'm working with Patrick and the team on this study. And I think the question is really good. It has been a concern, but there's also a bit of history that perhaps some of the people, especially Summit Park, it's not that it's brand new, but it's a lot of the residents there are probably newer than some of the history behind the issue about traffic on Trinity Church Road. So several years ago, council approved zoning on Trinity Church Road that would prevent industrial traffic, from entering Trinity Church Road. And they did that by not allowing direct access from properties west of Trinity Church onto Trinity Church. Hence, this is exactly why we've got a road that's extending like it is through the park, because access to these lands are expected to be from this road and not from maybe a logical, if you look at a map, Trinity Church looks like a great road where you could provide access to it's industrial development. But so be it. There's the zoning, site-specific zoning, which does not allow access to Trinity Church, and beyond that, or more to that point, council is also concerned about any traffic associated with development, meaning anybody cutting through the park or whatnot to use Trinity Church is seen as a huge concern. That presents a problem because you're right about the bottleneck up to the north, and we've acknowledged that. And I think Patrick or Andrew said it's not part of the study is correct, but it's not that it's not in our minds in terms of what's required for the future. So as part of this study, we're not examining it. We know it's an issue, and we're expecting that if council at some point approves the expansion of the urban boundary to include Elfrida, definitely this connection would be required just to complete the road network and make sure that there's adequate capacity in the east-west direction to move traffic. So it's a really good question. It's maybe not a great answer because you're right. There's traffic congestion that, based on council's direction in the past, we're not able to solve right now. But it may be solved in the future if Elfrida ever gets approved for urban boundary development.
Okay, yes, I do understand that. I've lived in Summit Park for 18 years, since brand new. And coming down.
You're new. You're not new, sorry.
Oh, I'm not new.
Yeah.
I'm not new, believe me. I'm the one who pushed for the widening from Upper Centennial to Dartnell, and man, I pushed that hard. Anyway, what happens is you get about 10, 12, 15 cars backlogged on Trinity Church that have come south to make that turn, that little turn to get on the Upper Red Hill extension. And the only reason I'm saying, if they open up 20, you would disperse traffic. People would turn left and go on the new Upper Red Hill extension, and it will alleviate a lot of the traffic. So I personally don't think traffic studies have been done. And if they have been done, they haven't been done correctly in the mornings when it's busy, and 4 or 5 o'clock when it's busy again. So I'll get off. Yeah.
Your point's well taken. The studies have been done. We see the issue. There's a bit of history in terms of council approvals and expectations on traffic and what was expected to how we're supposed to build the network. Unfortunately, right now our hands are a bit tied. So you're not wrong. We have planned for it. We're anticipating issues that may be resolved in the future with an urban boundary expansion. Unfortunately, not a great answer, but it's something that, notwithstanding what council thinks today, that issue could resolve itself at some point when the public starts to maybe reach out a bit more about issues like that. But to staff's point, this study is not looking at it, although we do acknowledge your point that it will become an issue if it's not already an issue today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I might just add that to your point about the traffic studies, there was a traffic study done, and it was done considering AM and PM peak traffic periods. If I'm not mistaken, Patrick, that should be shared on the Engage website. If it's not, we can throw it up there and certainly take a look at it.
Not yet. So as part of the ESR submission finalization, then that will be part of the appendices for the public to review as well. Okay. So we have Anthony next, right, Paul?
Actually, let's go to Mary first. There's a question that she shared in the chat.
Okay.
She's asking, so you've talked about the 2 new intersections. What will Rymal Upper Centennial look like? Mary says that she's a Binbrook resident and agrees with Sam that diverting volume away from Summit Park would be a good idea.
So for the Rymal Road and Upper Centennial, that is not part of this study, correct? Andrew, like I don't think it's part of this to look at.
No, yeah, it's outside the limits.
Yeah.
I think my point was traveling southbound on Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway during rush hour. If you do extend it to go straight, right now there's 2 left turn lanes. Are we going to get rid of one of the left turn lanes or to go straight, or is it going to continue? How will that look like?
We're maintaining the 2 left turn lanes south of Upper Red Hill Valley and then there will be a through lane onto the future Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway extension south to 20 Road.
Okay. Yeah, my concern also, like, not to repeat what Sam said, but going towards Binbrook, I'm heading south, right? And usually we do that little turn off onto Rymel, up Trinity Church. And those two turns are very painful for lots of people. So yeah, hoping that proposed roundabout gets connected up to Trinity Church at some point in the future.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, thanks a lot. Just before we go to Anthony, if I could just ask everybody who has spoken to put their hands down. All right, Anthony, you're up next.
And please unmute yourself, Anthony. Or I can help you unmute yourself. Let me see. Oh, I can't unmute you, Anthony.
Off, Tony.
Oh,
there we
I
go.
can hear you. Yep.
Okay, sorry, I had it muted up on my own team's project. Hi, I'm a resident on 20 Road. We're just west of Miles Road, the corner of Miles Road there on 20 Road. And I can tell you, I know that there's traffic going towards Binbrook, but traffic going west on 20 Road is horrendous once you get on from Dartnell Road right through to almost the end of 20 Road at, is it Glenbrook?
Yes, Glenbrook.
And I'll tell you, morning rush hours, and especially in the evenings, it could take us sometimes 20 minutes to get out of my own driveway. So if you open that up and you're allowing more trucks and stuff, what's that going to do for our road when we're mainly residential past Miles Road?
Understood, Anthony. So I just want to bring everyone back up to there is a future plan for the connection from Upper Red Hill Valley Rymel Road all the way down to the future extension of this airport conceptual link, which we're currently, not we, but another department within the city of Hamilton is currently conducting, and hoping that would alleviate some of these traffic concerns that we don't have to go, those trucks do not have to go through either the 20 Road East towards the west side. Totally understand the concerns. Right now we're focused on this connection, this L shape, I would say backward L shape connection, but there is another study that another city department is also conducting to help look at these traffic issues as well. And I believe Gavin has his hand up as well. I'm sure he's going to chime in.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Just to that question, I think everybody's noticed that traffic on some of our rural, I'll call them highways, rural highways. They're not really highways per se, but they sometimes they seem to operate that way in terms of the amount of traffic that expects to be able to use them. And I wouldn't expect that you're going to see a whole lot of change there, but this particular project, in terms of what it's doing, is providing access to the park. It's not, the intent is not to provide access through the park to other places, but to that point that Patrick brought up about this, the city is looking at the feasibility of a Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway link to the airport. It's a study that's just in its infancy in terms of getting started. It's something that's been identified in the city's transportation master plan. And this is going to be a feasibility study, but if it ever gets built, or if it gets recommended and approved, it would take several years. I mean, yeah, more than several years to see something like that get built. But I think not to take away from your concern of traffic, we do have those concerns ourselves. That's one of the reasons we have a truck master plan that identifies available routes for trucks. We're not going to be able to do much about traffic, but again, this particular study is not looking at moving traffic through the park as much as it is providing access for industrial traffic, commercial traffic to the park and back out again. And it's not exact.
It's not going to be just trucks.
I understand that. I get what you guys are trying to do.
Oh, I think it just lost you, Anthony.
Sorry, here I am. Okay, sorry. I was just gonna say, I understand why you're doing it and the benefits of it all. My only concern, and when I talk to other residents on this road, they have the same concerns. People are gonna just start using that road for easy access, especially now that Dickinson Road is closed due to the tunneling that's going on there. And then I'll tell you, if you have an accident on either Upper James or the Link, it's backed up here from Miles right down to Upper James.
Yeah, and we understand that, and I guess unfortunately we're going to have a good answer for that as it relates to this study. And again, this road in particular is to provide access to a park and not to and from a park to our existing freeway system, our expressway system. And notwithstanding the traffic you're seeing today, and I think we'd all agree that it's continually seems to be increasing as Hamilton grows. And so those solutions about traffic on roads like 20 and Dickinson and Nebo outside the urban boundary, those are issues that our transportation division manages as it relates to traffic safety and truck routes. And unfortunately, this study is not going to solve those problems. So that doesn't mean you can't make comments about that because they are significant issues. And if you think this is going to exacerbate that problem, by all means, make sure you make a point of saying so, and we can incorporate those comments into the study and make sure that we talk to the people that look after those issues in the city.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, we can talk around in circles in that, but that's probably what we'll have to do is voice our opinion and see where it goes from there. Thanks again.
No, thank you, Anthony.
Okay, we have our another question from Mary. Mary, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thanks, guys. So change of topic here. I noticed that on this diagram here, we're going through farmland. You mentioned something about owners selling at a fair price or whatnot. Is there a plan for changing any of this to commercial, or does that just matter with whoever sells that property?
I think that's
And
part
what-
of the. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, and what will the speed limit be for this extension?
Oh, I have to confirm the speed limit on this one. I think it's off the top of my head. I think it's 6. I don't think it's 60.
60.
Yeah,
Yep.
60. Yeah, that's the speed limit that we're going with. And for the land acquisition, that I think
Zoning.
believe this zoning is going to be an industrial park, like a business park. So
No,
you
I
have
think-
right.
Yeah, I think Gavin wanted to chime in here. It looks like Margaret wants to as well.
Oh, okay, sure. Go ahead, Gavin, or whoever's first. I think Gavin raised his hand first.
Yeah, I was just to the question about would somebody be developing these lands as commercial? And I'll tell you right now, the park itself, all the lands are already zoned industrial. So for someone to convert it to a different use, they'd have to go through a zoning change, which wouldn't be impossible, right? That's a public process through a Planning Act application. But then again, this is an industrial park, and the city would have pretty strong opinions on the type of development we want here. Now, that said about industrial zoning in this area, I think there's at the intersection of Dartnell Road and 20 Road, there might be a small hub of area there that's designated some sort of commercial district commercial zoning and right in that area, but in general everything else is all industrial. And again, that said, it's a Planning Act. The opportunities for people to change zoning through the Planning Act. There is an ability.
I think we're cutting you off.
In our city planning strategy. Can you hear me?
You were just cutting off a bit, actually. Couldn't hear you after. think it's everyone. Paul, you can't hear Gavin, right?
No, it looks like we've lost him.
Yeah, we lost
Okay.
him,
Sure.
Sorry, we can't hear you, Gavin.
Just
All right. So it doesn't look like Gavin's gonna be able to complete his thoughts there. But Margaret, did you have any thoughts you wanted to share with
no,
on this topic? No?
I think I'm just to continue Gavin's train of thought. I'm hoping that I'll cover that. But yeah, this area has. I know that the comment earlier pertained to farmland. So this has been rezoned to a business park a long time ago. It's of high interest. There are a lot of folks that are already interested in developing this area, and it's a commercial industrial mix. So I'm not sure if the question was that you wish to develop and you wanted to look at the specifics of the zoning, or if you were concerned about farmland being used for development, but it's already been zoned as for development.
Mary, does that
Yeah, no,
answer
my
your
thought
question?
maybe was, is it a throughway that's meant to, take people down to Glover Road, or is it going to be a bunch of warehouses that are, trucks are coming down that street to make deliveries on the extension? Or is it going to
So
be used more like
I
a
would say
throughway?
it's the latter for this study.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add that you see the road as it is, but we anticipate that there will be driveways that will be linking to the road. So there may be additional intersection depending on the amount of traffic going through, the type of traffic that's going through. There may have to be some other intersection controls that would facilitate that. So, but until the developments come through, we won't know for sure what that would look like. I
Yeah,
hope that
and
answers your question.
all the truck accesses will be all along the future Upper Red Hill Valley
Okay.
Parkway and will not be either accessing on either Glover Road or Trinity Church Road for this.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Mary. So we don't have any more questions. Maybe we'll just give everybody a minute.
Patrick, I'm just wondering if I can add something.
Sure.
No one's raised that issue, but I wanted to point out that about the pedestrian and cycling connection that was considered. If you can share the screen again for where we have the cross section with the temporary cul-de-sac. I think that's the best view of it. I see you looking through it. Yeah, that one. You're not sharing your screen though fully. All I see is a little spot of it. Can you share it so
you
it's?
might be zoomed in, Margaret.
Oh no, I'm just looking at. I see everyone's. Oh, I see. Yes, gotcha. Sorry. Okay, so you see in purple. I know someone was talking about having this as a full traffic connection. I think Gavin was answering that, but the purple line where it says proposed sidewalk is actually a proposed multi-use path. The intention is for when there are places to work, that even the residents along Trinity Church will be able to use that connection. So if you have teenagers that are wanting to not drive, or anyone else that wants to not drive, but just use active transportation, we've provided an active transportation network. So these are complete streets that we're designing, so that is not just for truck traffic and vehicular traffic, but also for those who don't wish to or don't have to use vehicles to get around. So I'm not sure if that was emphasized enough, or if that came across for you, but we are considering all modes of transportation and are sensitive to the Trinity Church residents who were quite vocal about not having truck traffic go on their road before. That's all I wanted to say.
Paul, are there any comments from the comment section or no?
No, there's no more questions right now.
Yeah, Patrick, it's Gavin. I know I got cut off.
Yes.
Was there anything it seems like I didn't finish saying? I was really just getting to the fact that it's all zoned in industrial.
Yeah.
There's a little hub of commercial around Dartnall and 20 small hub of that zoned land, but otherwise it's industrial, and you're not likely to see commercial development there.
No, I think that we sort of finished your thought actually. I see Sam has his hand up. Sam?
Yes, I do. The interim build cul-de-sac there, why I want the extension of 20 Road to go to Trinity Church. You're not going to have big trucks go on that short distance when they've got their own Red Hill extension to go to the business park. Also, I don't know, I've lived in this area for 18 years. You've got 20 Road, you've got Dickinson Road, you've got Airport Road, you got Bimbrook Road. And if anybody who drives those now knows the traffic is building at an alarming pace. So why would you cut off 20 Road for us people to drive just because we don't own big dump trucks? You know what I'm saying? Again, the dispersing of traffic. I've lived here 18 years. I bought brand new in phase 1 of Summit Park. They're up to phase 5 now. The traffic is horrendous already. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Sam. I think I like Gavin has mentioned, we do understand that you do have concerns with traffic. And again, just want to reiterate that this study is not looking for the improvement of traffic, but access to traffic. But we definitely understand that you have issues with traffic elsewhere as well. And so we'll have to take this back to transportation planning department to actually look at this into more detail to see which, I guess, other connections outside of this study, but within where you have your connections, may have to look at improvements to potential widening as well. So I think it's a concern that we have to look at after this meeting.
Thank you very much.
And I just want to I also just want to mention and also reiterate that if you do have any other concerns that maybe perhaps you didn't think of during this meeting, please go online to our website and provide any comments or concerns that you may have online.
Patrick, we do have another question from Herbert.
Oh yeah, Herbert.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi there, how are you? Thanks for taking my question. I'm with the Sora Group with Trinity Church Investments. We own the properties at Glover Road and 20th Road, from UPS down to Navistar. My question specifically is on the 20th Road extension towards Red Hill Parkway. Will there be provisions for a driveway into the UPS site from the new proposed 20th Road?
Sorry, which land parcel are you at?
We're at the corner of 20th and Glover Road.
Which quadrant? North, I'm assuming north, not northwest quadrant, right? The northeast quadrant?
Northeast, correct, is
the Demic, part of the Demic property, right?
Yes.
No, it's southeast. Southeast.
Southeast.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell the direction on that side.
Sorry. So 399.
Yes. 399 Glover Road, correct. Yes.
If there's access to onto your property from 20 Road Extension?
Will there be access, like a driveway or some sort of access to get onto 20th Road directly from that UPS side from 399?
We reviewed your. No, I don't think so, because we reviewed your development application. There wasn't any proposed driveway at that location.
Oh, I see. Okay. No, we didn't, because we weren't sure how long this development was going to take.
Yeah.
Okay,
but there is a provision for acquiring access from new roads. It's just a process you got to go through, but it all depends on your site layout. So I don't know if your site layout at the UPS ever considered a direct access to 20 Road, because a plan for 20 Road's always been in place. So when you developed your site plan, if you anticipated that road, you might have oriented or configured your building such that there could be access in the future. And if you could have access in the future, that's just part of an application you'd make to the city to build that.
I don't think in the application itself, I don't see an access because you're quite high. You're high in an elevation at your site, and I see a lot of retaining walls too. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, there is a retaining wall on the northern lot line of 399 Glover, and the proposed access was off of Glover Road itself.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Herbert.
So we don't have any more questions at this time.
Okay. All right then. So I think our timing of okay. So Catherine, we're anticipating the full ultimate build out to be sometime around 20 years from now. The full build out, not the interim, full build out. And if there's development that comes in quickly in this area, in this business park, then it could happen a lot faster.
Patrick, I would add that, traffic to the park, and again, the primary purpose of this road with a connection to 20 is for access to and from the park. This idea of building 2 lanes now and protecting for the widening to 4 lanes, that's part of the ultimate approval of this Class A, which will give the city the ability to advance that project in the future when needed without having to go through another class environmental assessment to demonstrate the need. But the likelihood of widening to 4 lanes could be driven by this, what we talked about earlier, which was a expressway to airport connection. So if that somehow got approved and built sooner than later, that might be a trigger to widen this road to 4 lanes, because now it's providing a route through the park, but also to the park. And so if that road's ever extended south toward south along the east side of the park and then westerly to the airport, then yeah, that's when you might see the widening. And it's just speaking from my professional opinion, I would say that this 2-lane Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway extension is probably going to be there a long time as a 2-lane road. It's going to take a long time to actually get it built as well. So this idea of 4-laning it might be a couple of generations away, not just 20 years. It might be 40 years. We don't know.
Yeah. And council priorities may change over time. So it really is a changing timeline.
Sorry, Patrick, there's a question about when construction will start and timing for the interim build-out.
So after the completion of this environmental study report, which we're aiming to be early Q1 next year to be all wrapped up, we'll definitely move on to the next phase, which is detailed design and construction. So for detailed design, it may take up to 2 years to complete. And given if we have the budget and funding in place, then we'll move on to construction. And if we were to say that, developers come in between, it could happen even faster because they may need to have those access in place ahead of time. I can't speak on how fast they can do it, but they're a lot faster than what the city can do. So I'm projecting for the 2 lanes for the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway and the 20 Road, maybe in the next 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gavin, but that's what I'm anticipating based on what I'm seeing on the anticipated timeline. Yeah, Gavin.
Yeah, Pat. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. That slide that we have, the interim build, the priority for the city right now is to look at the extension of 20 Road and building a cul-de-sac, which again, you might say, why are you doing that? And actually the desire to get that built sooner than later is to provide access to a property with the address 420 Trinity Church. And it's just behind the UPS and is it Firestone? I can't remember the other buildings down there, but just to the east of there, it's a city-owned property that's zoned industrial that the city would like to sell, but they need to provide access. And I mentioned before that the zoning on the properties along Trinity Church doesn't allow industrial traffic access to and from Trinity Church, so it needs access from a road internal to the park. So the city's interest right now is extending 20 Road with a cul-de-sac such that it can provide access to this property at 420 Trinity Church. So that's an economic development initiative in terms of our employment strategy. So that's why we've got that interim build, and that's probably where we're pushing in the next 5 years to see that get built. Now, the rest of the road, Patrick, you might remember how long it is. I don't know if it's a couple of kilometers or maybe it was just over a kilometer, but it's challenging in that the north end you're going through multiple properties, and there's a lot of environmentally sensitive features through that area. And then the road at mid-block crosses through the hydro corridor, which is a challenge in itself, crossing a utility like that. And then the south part, which is the focus of the study, is finding a location for the road that best fits for the development in the area, is going through two large development properties. And the city is expecting that to build this north-south portion of the Upper Red Hill Valley extension is probably going to, believe it or not, going to start at the south end with an extension from this 20 Road northerly toward the hydro corridor. By nature of how these lands can be serviced with water and sanitary sewer, it makes sense that the road actually gets started at the south end and eventually get connected to the north. And as Patrick was referring to the timing, you could see that happen sooner than later if the owners of those properties want to get developing, because they could actually build that portion of the road, and we would expect that the city would build the rest of the road up to Rymel. So it's a bit different. It's not something where the city's going to jump in and build the whole road. We often take advantage of the developer's ability to advance projects that serve the interest of developing land and building the industrial park. So the south end, south of the hydro corridor, we'd expect the developers to build that portion, and the city would build the rest. And again, this idea of where our priorities are, it's 20 Road. The city wants to get 420 Trinity Church serviced in the near term, and then we'd like the development community to move forward on the south section, and then at some point, and like Patrick said, in the 10-year time frame, we'd complete that link up to Rymel Road. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thanks, Gavin. I think Sam has a comment. I thought Doug Ford's mandate was to cut red tapes and expedite these process much quickly. Yes, so the ministry did come down with a proposal for not having an EA process on some of these roads anymore, depending on the identification of the road classification. That is still an ongoing proposal, and we have not yet heard from the province if that is indeed passed or confirmed. So yes, that is part of Doug Ford's plan. However, is it confirmed? The city or other municipalities have yet to heard. We did provide comments to that proposal that Doug Ford came down with, but haven't yet to received any confirmation from that yet. Yes, Margaret.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the funny thing about red tape is It's not necessarily red tape that's artificial. Sometimes red tape is necessary because there are legislative requirements for, ecology, archaeology, cultural heritage that are inherent in the overall provincial framework, legal framework. There are things that we would have to know even without an EA process. So something to keep in mind is that even without the EA process, council for years and even more so now has asked staff to provide a transparent decision-making process. And the one benefit of the EA process is that it does provide you with, or the public, or whoever is the stakeholder, with a very transparent decision-making process. We show you what the alternatives were that were considered. We show you how they're evaluated. We go out to the public to consult on it so that events such as this can take place. If what you mean by this is that the EA process will be removed, because we have quite a lot of these requirements that are already corporately required, we would likely not remove the EA process entirely, even if in its provincial absence, and still continue public outreach and still continue the functional level of design. So something to keep in mind is that what we're providing to you today is a functional design. So about 30% accuracy, if I may call it that. I mean, the road is going to be where it kind of is, but the precise impacts, the grading, the stormwater, the fine tuning of all that will take place during detailed design, which is necessary before construction can take place. So you can only remove so much before the road falls over, because the engineers and others have not had enough time to study the area so that it's safe and can last a long time and be built to appropriate standards. So I hope that that answers your question.
Okay. Thanks, Margaret.
So I'm not seeing any more questions, Patrick. Maybe we'll just give everybody another minute.
Yeah.
Sorry, could you unmute yourself and explain? I'm not quite following.
Is that me you're talking, Margaret? Sam?
Yes, sorry, Sam. Yes, yeah.
Okay, so my texted comment was, thanks, Margaret. Why I ask is because the wildlife corridor, a mile or two north on the upper Red Hill extension, was approximately 2 years behind. It was a question of where they're going to build the wildlife corridor so that the animals didn't get hit by cars. And what they did, they built a bridge over top. And I don't know if you were part of that project, but it's only a mile or two north on the upper Red Hill extension. It was years behind, and that's why the upper Red Hill extension itself took so long to build. Is this correct or not? I extensively researched this.
I was not part of that project, so I don't know the details. I
so
do
I
know.
just enlightened you a little bit of what
Yeah,
happened.
you may have. Yeah. I think there is an interesting all that I know about wildlife corridors on the Red Hill is one of the species that had to be considered was where the flying squirrels. And I know it seems like a silly name, right? But we are home to flying squirrels in Hamilton, especially around Rimal Road. And I'm not sure that those are the species that we are talking about. And I recall there being some discussion about that. But maybe Gavin has his hand up. He may have more information.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Sam, could you just elaborate your comment or question? Because I might be able to explain a bit more about that wildlife corridor, but I'm not really sure the context of your comment and how it relates to this.
Well, how it relates is that why stuff, I call it red tape. I know you guys don't. but environmental assessments, why they're taking so long. The thing is, you know, things have to be done quickly here because I live in this area and it's jammed. So what happened was about a mile or two north, this is before it gets onto the expressway. This is the extension. They built a bridge over top and they called it a wildlife corridor. And it was specifically for deer, I believe. There's never been a dead deer on this road in all the years I've been here. So they wasted a lot of time and money building this wildlife corridor because somebody did a study that wasn't required. So I'm just saying that why things take so long is because they do studies. The flying squirrel, I know what they did on the Red Hill Valley Parkway. They built poles for the flying squirrels. I know that. I haven't seen a flying squirrel in my life, but I'm going to stop talking. I just wanted to say that
Correct,
why
yeah.
things are behind with these environmental assessments is I think they go too far. And Doug Ford said he wants to cut down the time on these environmental assessments. So this new extension to 20 Road, you know, why can't it be built in the next year or two? Why is it could be 10 years out? I thought I heard you say. Anyway,
I think
I'll
I could
mute myself.
maybe
I'll let you talk.
No, Sam, it's a good point. Sam, it's a good point. I think as staff, you know, there's across the city, there's a lot of roles people have in terms of either facilitating development of land, and that's you're talking about that wildlife crossing that had a lot to do with not just a road, but it had to do with development that was happening there at the time. And I don't think there's an environmental assessment so much there, but there's a lot of established wildlife linkages that were going to be changed as a result of approved development. So there's a lot of time spent trying to figure out how to best do that. But like in this area, we don't have the same issues there in this area, but there is stormwater, there's a hydro corridor, there's farmland that's going to be industrial. And I think, again, due process as it relates to the class environmental assessment and the Environmental Assessment Act of what we need to do to document and make decisions that are traceable and defendable. And I think ultimately, while we might have the right answer today, this idea then how do you get to the next step of implementation is one where it's if the road is a super high priority, then we'd be jumping right into capital budget approval, detailed design, and then land acquisition at the same time, and then construction. In this particular area, this business park, because this is what it's all about, is industrial development and access to the park is, well, we've already got 3 roads that provide access to the park right now. Where our main, and the city only has a certain capacity to advance major capital works like this. So we have to prioritize. And I think in this case, Dartnell Road extension to down to 20 Road is done. 20 Road itself is complete through the park, except east of Glover Road. Part of Glover Road was improved, I think, in the last year. Nebo Road is going to be improved this year. If you weren't aware of that, it's going to be upgraded from Rymel to 20. Yeah, and we're just getting into the detailed design for the extension of 20 Road down to Dickinson, which is in the program for construction in around 2027, 2028. And again, I'm giving you target dates on that one, but that's our priority in terms of providing access to the park and servicing. There's we're always talking about road access right now for cars and trucks, but it's about servicing land as well. So when we extend the Dartnell Road extension, or when we extend Dartnell Road down to Dickinson Road, we're extending water mains and sewers. So now we're opening up land for development, right? And this is no different when I mentioned that the 20 Road extension is a priority for the city, because what it does is it opens up more land. So it opens up that property that the city owns, and then it also opens up to the lands to the north, which are owned by the development community, and which we do. We're in discussions with those developers. They want to develop as well, but at the same time, the city's being pragmatic about its ability to advance certain work. So we leverage the development community to do some of that work. So in this case,
definitely we'd expect the development community to build that south section, and the more difficult section to the north, going through Hydro Corridor and up to Rymal Road. That's probably something the city's going to have to do. But as it relates to road capacity, we've got a lot of it right now. But what we don't have is a fully serviced park, and that's what we're trying to do. And part of servicing a park means you have to build a road. So you're not just building a sewer or a water main, you got to build a road as well, because typically that's where those sewers and water mains are. So it's a bit of a strategy about servicing a park for growth, but then having those things around it that don't always make sense as it relates to why we are choosing to do one thing over another. But your comments about traffic congestion, like they're believe me, I see it too, and at the same time, we're trying to achieve one thing. It may have an impact on something else, but we can't necessarily solve all the problems at once either. So it's a bit of a balancing act. I think we've got a good strategy here for the business park. It's going to benefit the city in terms of developable land in our employment land strategy. It's about what we refer to as shovel-ready land. The more services we can bring to this area to allow to provide opportunities for developers to build those UPS centers, the Maple Leafs, the Canada Breads, Lafarge, all those things. That's city building stuff, and that's where the city's focusing on. We rely on the leverage of our own staff and what we can do, but we also rely on the development community as well. So it's a bit of a strategy. It may not make sense all the time when you quickly look at it, but as I've described some of the other work we're doing there, it might start to make sense about why is it 10 years away? Well, the reason is because it's not the most important road right now. Right now, we've got Nebo Road coming. It's going to be upgraded. There's going to be more serviced land there. Then Dartnell Road, and then comes 20 Road, and then comes Upper Red Hill Valley Expressway or Parkway Extension. So it's all part of a strategy.
Okay, thanks, Gavin. I appreciate it.
Well, I guess we'll just give it a minute.
Yeah, I think so.
Do a countdown, Paul.
Sure. Going once. Going twice. I think that's a show.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for attending. But the consultation doesn't stop here. Please visit our website for these materials for your review, and also your comments in the comment form will be greatly appreciated. I'd like to thank everyone once again. Have a great rest of the week, great rest of the evening and the week. Can the project team just stay for now? And just a quick debrief. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Patrick.